Before dissecting Psalm 91, I want to give you a very brief look at how it has protected so many people who have put their trust in God's amazing promises. In the last video, I mentioned the book, Psalm 91, God's Umbrella of Protection, by Peggy Joyce Ruth. I highly recommend that book, and you can learn more about Peggy's other teachings on her website, peggyjoyceruth.org. But here are some of the testimonies that she has received from people who have prayed Psalm 91. John G. Lake wrote in his journal that relying on the promises of Psalm 91 was his key to not getting sick from an African plague. An Englishman caught by the Germans in World War II was held for a long time in a German prison camp. Everyone else who was taken there was killed, but he relied on Psalm 91 and its promises, and he was able to literally walk out of that prison unharmed. He was the only prisoner known to ever escape from there. Sergeant George Harold Barclay served in World War II, and he banked on the promises of Psalm 91. He had absolute certainty that he would come home without even an injury. He was so certain that he repeatedly volunteered to go to the front lines to bring back the injured, and he made repeated trips under extreme enemy fire, saving many lives. He came home without a scratch. A missionary named Jennifer McCullough was in East Africa when her village was raided. She hid in her hut and prayed and claimed the promises of Psalm 91. Her hut was the only one not invaded, and the other people in the village afterwards said that during the raid, it was as though her hut had literally disappeared. A 4-year-old boy named Skyler Chasteen was riding his bicycle, and he accidentally went over the edge of a very steep ravine, or cliff, if you will. When his mother found him at the bottom, his neck was clearly broken, and his head was actually turned around all the way backwards. She was obviously hysterical. He was taken to the hospital, and x-rays and CT scan showed a badly broken neck. His family kept praying and claiming Psalm 91 over him the entire time. He was airlifted to a much larger hospital to try to save him, and when he had imaging at that next hospital, the doctors could not explain how his neck was completely healed. He woke up in the ICU there the following morning, and he was completely fine from that point on. Renee Hood had multiple organ failure, which kept getting worse and worse and worse. And various doctors she kept seeing said that her condition was hopeless and she would die in a short time. Despite getting worse, she denied their claims, and she instead kept claiming Psalm 91 and God's healing and protection over herself. Within a few months, she finally began to gradually start feeling better and better until she was completely fine with normal medical tests to prove it. A man named Danne Kayley had cancer throughout his whole body, also confirmed by CT scan imaging. He and his wife kept praying and claiming Psalm 91, and in a short time, no trace of cancer from further imaging could be found in his body by his doctors, who were also amazed at his healing. Incredibly, there are even accounts of tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods demolishing everything else nearby except the people's homes who stood by praying and claiming Psalm 91. These are just a few of the innumerable stories of God's protection through people praying Psalm 91. And for anyone watching this that is an atheist, I will remind you that if only one miracle story ever is true, then by the very definition of a miracle, God exists. Thanks for watching. I'll share with you verse by verse Psalm 91 starting next time.